This is Chris from CNS Country Gardens. I'm with Cathy from
Terralink Horticulture.
All right, so Cathy's going to go over some of our fertilizers we have in stock, the organic, some synthetic, and we get a lot of different questions, and Cathy's here to answer those questions. All right, Cathy, take it away.
Here we
go ahead.
All right, well, first we're going to talk about the Organique product line. The Organique products are certified organic. They're all packaged in our facility in Chilliwack, BC. These are Canadian products by a Canadian-owned company. Kelp Boost is a great product that you would be really looking for in order to provide product to your plants that will reduce stress. So when we get those hot spells during the summer, if you're wanting to make sure that your plants get through that hot spell and recover quickly, Kelp Boost before that hot spell works well. It's also great for pest and disease resistance. So kelp will build up the root system and the cell walls within your plants to help them resist pest and disease, as well as get through the droughts or stress tolerance. Kelp Boost, great product for any of your plants.
Okay. What's next here?
Biofish, so you have a fish fertilizer. Again, great all-purpose kind of fertilizer for your garden. This would be, again, taken up quickly by your plant and would be great on your vegetable garden, perennials, shrubs, trees, well used around the garden. Both of these are from the sea.
Okay.
Next would be Simply Calcium. So Simply Calcium, if you've ever had problems with blossom end rot in your tomatoes, Simply Calcium is a great product to use in conjunction with, say, a tomato and vegetable fertilizer like the Organique tomato and vegetable, or a granular tomato and vegetable fertilizer. These are packaged separately because calcium can't be put in with a tomato and vegetable organic fertilizer. It'll become lumpy, which is kind of crazy. So it is packaged separately, but that's what it's for, is for calcium deficiencies, but also really does help with ending blossom end rot.
How fast does it act?
Any of the liquids are taken up almost immediately by a plant. So you will see very quick corrections or nutrition in the plant right away. Granular fertilizer, however, is more of a slow acting, so it will break down over time and can be applied every 2 to 3 weeks through the growing season.
Okay.
General purpose, again, you're looking at a fertilizer that can be used anywhere in your garden. So if, a lot of people like to use the organic fertilizers on anything that's edible. But that's not to say you can't use it in your hanging baskets, your containers, your perennial beds. Again, all of the liquids, those are taken up right away by a plant. On the general purpose side, you then also move into a granular 439. It does contain calcium. And again, any of the granulars are going to break down over time. So some of the nutrients will break down right away, and the rest of the nutrients will be released over a few weeks period. So if you're more of a shake and feed kind of gardener, rather than putting some fertilizer into your watering can, then the shake and feed or the granular fertilizer is the way to go.
We actually we use this exact fertilizer. We have large bags of it as well. We incorporate that into all our soil media at the garden center. So every plant we grow here gets 439.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That just gives all of those plants that boost that they need before they've even gone home with the homeowner that they've...
Yeah. And what are some of the other ingredients? Is there any humic or anything else in the general purpose 439 granular?
Yep. So on the sides, whenever you're wondering what's in there, you can take a look. So more than anything, this one, aside from the NPK, so nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, this also contains calcium and sulfur.
Okay.
And sulfur is a really good component here in the prairies as well. Most of our soils are deficient that way, and the plants really benefit. The next product that we've got here is Bone Meal Plus. We call it Bone Meal Plus well, first I'll start off. Our bone meal is all fish bone meal. It's sterilized fish bone meal. And the reason that we call it plus is because it also contains soft rock phosphate and humic acid. The other important part of all of our granulars is that you are also feeding the soil. You're also feeding all of those microbes and the natural activity that's going on in your soil when you're using the organics. So you're benefiting your soil in this aspect too. So Bone Meal Plus is a great product to use when you're planting, putting it into the holes when you're planting your perennials, your trees, your shrubs, or your bulbs. This is a great product. I also use it myself just around the tops of my perennials in the fall as well as the spring, just again to add some juice to those plants.
Yeah.
Some extra nutrition.
The other question we get often is, we have the Bone Meal Plus, and then we have just the bone meal.
Yep.
What are the key differences between those two?
Both organic.
Yep.
Both fish bone meal. The difference here is not so much in the numbers. This one's a 211-0 and this is a 413-0. The difference here is that we've added product here. So we've added the soft rock phosphate and we've added humic acid. Otherwise, you're getting a very similar product, or you're getting fish bone meal. It's just if you want those added benefits,
yep,
then that's why it's got the plus.
Okay.
But they are both organic, even though the Bone Meal Plus is the only one under our Organique brand.
Okay.
And then blood meal as well. So again, a lot of people will use this as a soil amendment, as well as deterrent for rodents. So because it's made of blood, sometimes people find that that helps deter squirrels and gophers and other rabbits, things like that. But it's also a great soil amendment for, and can be added to anything, like can be added into your vegetable garden or just to enrich the soil itself.
Okay, nice. What do we got next?
We'll keep going?
Keep going.
All right. So then we move into the Garden Pro line. So the Garden Pro line is, again, not certified organic, but most of the products are organic based, meaning that they have about 15% organic matter in the formulation, including kelp. And so I talked about kelp at the beginning. The really important part about kelp is, again, it's a stress reducer for plants and helps them develop their root systems, as well as helps to protect them against pest and disease and to get through heat stress. So tomatoes are well known as an example of something that can look very sad if it is not watered. Again, with using kelp, it helps that tomato plant recover more quickly once it gets water, and continue through the season. So the Garden Pro 510-5 also contains calcium, great for tomatoes as well as your other vegetables. The tree and shrub is, again, a granular. So any of these granulars in the Garden Pro line are slow releasing. So they use stabilized nitrogen, which means, again, that part of the nitrogen, this 14, will be reduced right away, but otherwise it will be reduced over time. So you'll get a couple of weeks of nutrition being released to your trees and shrubs. These also contain micros. So not only do you have your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, but you also have magnesium, sulfur, iron, manganese, boron, and zinc. So all of these are formulations that benefit the plant that we're talking about. So in this case, it's a tree and shrub. We have granular kelp. So we've already talked about so many of the benefits of kelp, and this is just in a different format. So instead of a liquid format, we have a granular format, which can be mixed in with the soil. Again, it feeds your soil and makes it healthy. It also feeds the root systems of your plants and will break down over time.
Yeah, we purchased a large 10-liter jug of kelp from you there. Where is your kelp sourced from? Do you have a special source?
Yes. So I love our kelp. The kelp is actually sourced from the Bay of Fundy, so it is also a Canadian sourced ingredient. If you think about the Bay of Fundy, it has some of the most extreme tides that you've seen in the world. There's only a few different places in the world that get that extreme. So the kelp that's there is put under extreme stress because it has to deal with these tides of being, you know, flushed under the water, and then the tide goes out and it bakes in the sun. It makes that kelp or seaweed extra vigorous to be able to withstand that kind of stress. And so there are about 70 minerals and vitamins that are actually extracted from the kelp or have been identified from kelp. And that's why we're so enthusiastic about it, because all of that stress that that plant has to go through, when we extract those vitamins and minerals and put them into the liquid extracts or the granular, that's what we're feeding to these plants that we're growing, and those benefits are then fed to those plants. And so that's why we see vigorous root systems, we see thicker cell walls, and just that stress tolerance behavior in the plant to be able to fend off pests and disease, as well as get through the heat.
Because we do get hot on the prairies.
Yeah,
yes,
so
we do.
Another recommendation is just before, when you see that temperature rising and you see that we're about to go into a 2 or 3 week stretch of plus 30s, feed your plants some kelp extract before that, and it will not only help them get through that heat event, but it will help them recover better afterwards.
Nice.
Perennial and vine, again, a great product that can be used throughout your perennial beds. It is mostly, I'm going to say, a balanced product, but when you look at these numbers, I also look at them as your up, your down, and your all around. So definitely you get a lot of benefits to the all-around health of your plant with the perennial and vine. And again, it contains micronutrients, so you're getting a lot in this package. All of these packages are all 100% product. There is no filler in any of these, including the liquids. So the liquids are very concentrated, and you don't, they're not using water to fill that package. You get about 100 liters out of that 1 kilogram package. Soil acidifier, again, depending on what you're growing, you may want to be able to change the pH of your soil. Things like anything that is acid loving. So that is where soil acidifier is used. Blueberries, rhodos, azaleas, I know, you need a microclimate for a couple of those. But definitely for blueberries, it's beneficial, and other places that you want to lower the pH. Humic, again, we're talking about soil amendments and about creating a really healthy system underneath your plants so that your plants can then access the nutrients within the soil. And so humic is also another great additive to your soil to be able to create health within that system. Epsom salts. Again, you won't believe the amount of pallets that we sell of Epsom salts to the growers. They use Epsom salts in order to create more vibrant blooms within some of the plants, like roses and some other annuals. It's also used because it can also enhance the flavor of things like your tomatoes. So that is one of the uses of Epsom salts within your garden. Evergreen and broadleaf, this is the same product as our tree and shrub. We've just renamed it so that it's a little more customer friendly. Your slow release perennial and container. This is a once in a season benefit to your perennials in containers. So if you would rather just feed your plants and not think about it for the rest of the season, perennial in container is one of those, because it's got a special formulation. The granules are coated and they are released over a 4-month period. And again, a very balanced formulation, so you can really put it anywhere within your perennial bed and containers and expect some good nutrition there for your plants for the whole season. Cactus and succulent, again, a unique formulation because it is a granular formulation for cactuses and succulents. And this can be used both with your house plants as well as your succulents that you grow outside. So your echeverias and all hens and chicks, all of those kinds of plants as well can be used with this. And I don't think there is another granular formulation for cactus and succulent on the market. So again, a slow release, so it's not going to harm or burn your plant. And slow release hanging basket. Again, if you're going to build any of your own hanging baskets or containers, this is a formulation that you can use by sprinkling that into your soil and mixing it up and then planting into the soil. This will give you, again, about 3 to 4 months worth of slow release. So that is used for your hanging baskets or your containers. I would still supplement that with some water-soluble fertilizer potentially through the season, but it will give your plants a head start and some good growing.
And I think we've covered it all. There's one last product here we're looking. There's two actually. There's a product called Quick Green.
Yep. So the Quick Green is, if you've ever seen chlorosis in your plants where they've turned yellow and they need some help, this plant has iron in it, 7%. So again, because it's liquid, it's taken up very quickly by the plant and should show the benefits of being greened up that much quicker, like within a few days.
Is that a foliar or a soil drench?
It can be used for both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah. And this little, as I was saying before, how concentrated they are, this is a 1 kilogram size. It'll actually make up to 200 liters.
Yeah, that's
so
a lot.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
But if you're using it on shrubs or something, sometimes people will use it, they might fill up quite a large 5-gallon pail even, or, to feed a number of shrubs. So it, when you do something like that, then you're taking it a long way. And I would give any of these a good shake, because again, things settle, so give it a good shake before using it.
And there's one last one, is the Buds and Bloom here.
Yep. So Buds and Bloom is a little bit of an older formulation for us.
Yeah.
But again, this is a great formulation for, so this middle number is all about roots and blooms, and the last number is about overall health of the plant. So again, giving some great nutrition to, and concentrated nutrition to your, especially annuals, I would say. So this would be more for your hanging baskets or your containers, something that's in, versus something that's in the ground.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, that's good. I think we've covered everything here. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Cathy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.